In this video, we're going to talk about the Baldr Pioneer 500 portable power station. Baldr is the sister brand of To Go Power, and they've been selling portable power stations in the United States since 2019. Baldr is the more budget-friendly lineup, and To Go Power is the more premium brand with more features and better specs. The Pioneer 500 is rated at 500 watts of power output and contains 461 watt-hours of battery capacity. We're definitely going to test those claims out. The rest of the specs are fairly typical, but the cycle life rating of over 500 cycles at 85% depth of discharge is a little bit low. On the features side, we have the usual USB ports, including USB-C, the cigarette lighter style adapter for 12-volt DC output, dual 120-volt AC outlets, multiple LED lights, and a pretty unique feature I haven't tested before in one of these, which is a wireless charger. So I'll briefly check out that function, but if you're new to my videos, I focus mainly on testing the battery capacity and raw power output of these devices instead of smaller features like lights and USB ports and cigarette lighter adapters. Now let's unbox this power station and take a look at what we get. I'm going to hurry through the footage here because there isn't anything out of the ordinary to report. You get an AC charger for charging the device at home, an MC4 adapter cable for charging with a solar panel, and a cigarette lighter adapter cable for charging in a vehicle. One thing I do always take a look at right off the bat is the user's manual. I want to see legible English instead of a poor Chinese translation, and very clear contact information for support if I need it. I also want to see warranty information. Now, the manual says the warranty is 12 months, but the website says 24 months. So I contacted Baldr to find out which was accurate and was told that the standard warranty is 12 months, but if you register the product, you get an additional 12 months added on for free. Taking a closer look at the power station itself shows some nice touches that I haven't seen on other power stations before, and I've reviewed 15 of these things now. This model has rubber covers that go over the DC and USB ports, as well as the power input port to protect from dust and moisture. The AC outlets are also covered in plastic, spring-loaded covers, similar to what you would see at your home on an outdoor AC receptacle. Now, this doesn't make the device waterproof, but it should give some peace of mind if you're using this while camping or outdoors. Almost everything on this power station is on the front, except for a small LED flashlight built into one side and some vents. Another cool trick I haven't seen before is this LED light that's built into the handle of the power station. It is surprisingly bright, but unfortunately it can't be activated at the same time as the flashlight on the side. Now let's move on to the fun part of the video, which is the testing. Before we begin, we'll need to charge the power station as it ships in a partially discharged state to comply with safety regulations. And here you can see my first major complaint with this product, and that is the extremely short AC charging cable. As you can see here, I struggled to get the device close enough to the wall outlet for the cable to reach without dangling the heavy power transformer in the air and putting stress on the charging port. I'm really not sure why this cord is so short. I measured it at 57 inches long, including the adapter. It would have cost $1 at most to extend the cable by an extra 3 feet. Anyway, the power station charges at about 100 watts on the AC adapter, so it takes 5 hours or less to recharge the device to full. Now that it's fully charged, let's give the power station a low power endurance test. When I test these power stations, I test them with a device that will draw a constant amount of power, but also something that I think a lot of people would use them for in an emergency or camping or whatever. So I like to use a box fan on its highest setting. I turned it on and let it run until the power station stopped providing any more power. The total time it ran was 5 hours and 41 minutes. Now the power draw started out at 91 watts and ended up dropping to 82 watts at the end, so we will average those together and use 86.5 in our calculations, which gives us 491.6 watt hours consumed, which is actually higher than what it's rated for. That almost never happens. Usually these power stations are overrated, especially when using the AC output. Nice job, Baldr. Now let's see how it does with a bigger load. I charge the battery back to full and then loaded up both AC outlets. On one side I have 3 60-watt incandescent light bulbs and a lamp, and on the other side I have a window unit air conditioner set on fan only on its highest setting. The lights consume about 180 watts obviously, and the window air conditioner uses about 175 watts, so that quadruples the power draw from the first test. After an hour and 16 minutes, the power station shut down. It averaged about 357 watts, so that gives us 452.2 watt hours of consumed power. That is very close to its rated capacity and really good performance on the AC output of the inverter. And the final test of the power output is a torture test. When I test these portable power stations, I like to try to test its limits. And again, I like to try to put myself in the head of an average consumer who may not know much about electricity and the power consumption of typical devices. So let's say it's an emergency and someone wanted to try to run an air conditioner off of this power pack. The Pioneer 500 has a surge capacity of 1,000 watts, which is good, but not enough for even a small window unit or portable air conditioner. Typically these things use 1,200 to 1,500 momentarily on startup. That's okay, little guy, you did your best, but you never really stood a chance. Moving on, now let's test the input side of things. I would be remiss if I didn't test the solar charging capabilities of the Pioneer 500, as that's one of the things that my channel is known for. Luckily, To Go Power sent me their 100 watt advanced solar panel to test alongside their Baldr Pioneer 500. These products are sold separately but are designed to work together and come with everything you need to make it work. Inside the box of the solar panel are some cables and a manual. I do like that it has a cable adapter with several ends on it that cover most of the common connector types for these portable products, so this solar panel will also work well with other products than just the Pioneer 500. This solar panel is semi-flexible and is really two panels in one with a folded hinge in the middle. The yellow circles you can see in the corners are magnets that keep the solar panel folded when not in use. The output cable has Anderson power pole connectors on the end, but there is a cable included with the panel that converts from power pole to MC4, which is the standard connector for solar. For the test, I again wanted to simulate the average Joe using this product. I know a lot about solar and have been using it, selling it, and installing it for about 8 years now, but most people don't know much about it. So I purposefully did not use the solar panel in the absolute optimal conditions. For one, I didn't start charging the power station until noon. Second, I did move the panels a few times during the day to keep them facing the sun, but if I was trying to eke out every bit of power possible, I would have moved them a lot more often. I also didn't use any instrumentation or tools to optimize the angle to the sun. I just eyeballed it as best as I could and let it do its thing. So having said all that, it took a little over a day to charge the power station to full, as it finished up at about 1 p.m. the next day. If you're new to solar, you should know that even though the solar panel says it's 100 watts, doesn't mean you'll ever get that much power out of it. It's rated at 100 watts in the best possible conditions in a test laboratory. In the real world, you're doing excellent if you get 80 watts. With this setup, I was getting between 60 and 70 watts consistently. Some of that's me trying to mimic an average consumer. But even when I adjusted the solar panels to aim directly at the sun in bright sunlight in a cloudless sky and actually tried to get the best possible output, I still never saw even close to 80 watts. So I would say between the 100 watt advanced solar panel and the Pioneer 500, you're going to get about average solar performance. If solar is going to be your primary charging method for the Pioneer 500, make sure you keep in mind that most places around the world average between 4 and 6 sun hours per day year-round. And that just won't be long enough to charge this device fully in a single day with a 100 watt solar panel, except in the height of summer or places closest to the equator. And to wrap up the testing portion of the video, I tested the wireless charging function on top of the power station. I didn't test how long it takes to charge, just whether the charging actually worked, and if it worked through a phone case. Most wireless chargers I've used in the past didn't work through a phone case, which meant that I was never going to use it. Taking the case off the phone every time is a waste of time and will destroy the case. Luckily, the wireless charger function did work with an iPhone X with a slim case on it. I don't know if that means it'll work with all phone cases, but it did with this one, so good job, Baldr. In summary, let's go over the pros and cons of the Pioneer 500 portable power station. First, it has flaps that keep the input and output ports safer from dust and water. Second, it's accurately rated and maybe even underrated on its battery and inverter performance. Third, the wireless charging function works well. And fourth, there are 3 methods of charging that give you lots of flexibility. But there are always weaknesses, so here are the ones I see. First, the AC adapter cable is way too short. Second, the full asking price of $450 is a bit too high. And third, the cycle life of the battery cells is on par with competitors, but not very good when compared with other lithium batteries. Having said all that, I would definitely recommend this unit if you can find it on sale. And speaking of that, you can find a 15% off discount code in the video description below if you buy from togopower.com web store. For $350 to $400, if you can get it in that price range, you're getting an overall solid product from an up-and-coming company that I think is going to be around for a while. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to hit the thumbs up and leave a comment for me.